Hey, good morning, everybody. Tuesday, April 22nd, ahead of the market open. I hope everybody is doing okay. I know a lot of people yesterday, the VIX over 30, the SPY, the market, the sell off, Bitcoin up. Yeah, I know a lot going on there. I know a lot to decompress. The market's been up and down, up and down. We saw a lot of highs at the end of 24, and we see a lot of just headlines and things that it had the market real sensitive to that. I know yesterday, we saw a brief recovery, into the overall market, into the afternoon session. Kind of looking at GameStop though. If you remember yesterday's video, I'd said, hey, uh, we're looking at, this, we're looking at the chart, and I always give everybody, hey, take a look at your, daily moving averages. I like to use the 9 day, the 21-day EMA, and then also like to use a 50-day and a 200-day, just a longer time frame on the daily. And I just said, hey, yesterday, if you look over in your top left corner again today, take a look at those moving averages, in case we see any stock retracement. Sometimes stock, finds a moving average. It's like it has memory. It remembers where it's been, it remembers where it's going to go. And a lot of times you'll see things, it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes stocks are picked back up, at that moving averages, which we kind of saw with GameStop. And I'll explain that here in just a second. And we'll take a look at some of that option flow and get you on your way this morning. But like I said, hope you're doing great this morning. Nice and sunny day as I record this. Always a good vibe. Nice little cup of coffee. We'll get into it here. So yesterday we talked about those moving averages. We saw yesterday the 9 day was at 25.75, and it was just, those were the moving average. We saw then yesterday, we saw a low of, what was the low yesterday? 25.79. So at that time yesterday, the 9 day EMA was 25.96. So it caught a little bit of a support there. And it was toward the end of, towards the, the second half of the day. And we'll look at the option flow and kind of how that correlated as well. So it made, a recovery. What, GameStop closed down, what, 1 cent? I believe, yeah. It was kind of ended up all that action to close flat. Yeah, down 1 cent, 26.77, showing 26.78 here. But if you look at that yesterday morning, the market, and then just some aggressive selling, and it wasn't just GME. If you look at every stock, it kind of had the same kind of curve, and then the same type of, a similar type of recovery there towards the end of the session. A little bit more volume came into that, and you see that low, 25.79. So when you come back over to the daily, I mean, did it work in this scenario? Of course it did. Does it work every time? No, but we kind of caught, the stock had caught some support there on a recent 9 day EMA. So, it's just something to consider. So if you want to take a look there at your EMAs today, they're right here in the top left corner. It's just, where is it? But I like seeing these shorter ones cross over a longer one. So they all started getting, kind of tight together here. So if you look at the flow, though, you see the correlation. Stock moved down. GameStop bulls jumped in here and defended that 9 day moving average. And boom, then shifted the net premium, and then price came back up to essentially close flat. So the net call premium did just go right above positive, interestingly, at 37,000. Net put premium was up a little bit at 225,000. So it kind of put the net premium down negative for the day. Now there was about 23 million in total premium for the day. So we'll take a look at the volatility. Still running at 76%, 91, 60 day, and the 60 implied volatility. So yeah, just a very light day on premium, whether it was negative or positive. So about 23 mil though in total premium. We can take a look at it. It was about, the volume was a little bit lower than normal. So if you look historically, here's your volume of like transactions versus calls and puts, and you can see here yesterday was very low in comparison to what it has been. So I'll give you a second here to pause or take a screenshot there if you need. These were your highest volume contracts yesterday. And we'll take a look at where some of that money was spent. We saw the $30 calls for this week, 28s and 27s. Some 30s for May 16th showed up as well. So we can take a look at some of those here real quickly. Take a look at these 30s and what transpired yesterday. Let's see, about 16,000 volume, just a little bit of increase in open interest, 250,000 in premium. I try to look for things 500,000 premium or higher. A mix of buyers and sellers. You had some selling, then some buying back. Kind of, like I said, it's mixed there. A bid pretty close to the ask volume. So again, just like a mix of buyers and sellers. You can kind of see 51% bid, 49% ask. So pretty much split 50-50. Some betting on upside or volatility, some selling based on the idea they didn't think it would close below, or they didn't think it would close above 30. Let's look at the $28 calls as well. About 25% of the volume yesterday covered into open interest, but again, it was split between buyers and sellers. Now, this was kind of alerted on unusual whales in the morning around 11:30, as the volume on the chain had exceeded the open interest. Those were alerted around 32. Doesn't mean you buy them. It just means, hey, this is something to look at. It got back up to 40, so they did kind of dip down here to 25. So those are $28 calls. The GameStop at what, 26.77. Looks to be about 26.92, 26.88 in pre-market right here. So 27 is at near the money there. And we'll look at those 27 sell volume again, split between the buyers and the sellers. Combination of both. There was a decent entry yesterday. They fell around 40, moved back up into 65. So about 50% move there. There was an alert on that one as well on unusual whales, as the volume during the day had exceeded the current open interest. So there was about half a mil in premium on that. A little less than 25% of that volume from yesterday appeared new open interest. So again, a little mix of buyers and sellers, but I'm sure there was a few people that probably pocketed buying a few low here and selling them up here. You see day trading, scalping with the options. I mean, it's an opportunity to make money. So who are we to judge? There's multiple ways to trade the stock, and people do. So we just try to highlight that. Maybe it reveals an opportunity or a strategy that you've not once considered in it. Maybe something that works out for you. I just always like to try to talk about the data in that regard. How you trade it, manage your risk. Yes, I always encourage you to do that the best that you can. The $30 calls, May 16th. Again, a lot of volume yesterday, about 8,000. And a decent amount of premium, 900,000. But we didn't see any of that come over in new open interest. So these contracts could have just simply changed hands, bought back what was already existing. So we look historically over the last 14 days. If you look at the bid volume here, a little bit more than the ask. So there has been some selling and buying. Could also be some more recent, sold some up here, buying them back to close as near expiry. A lot of different scenarios that could be happening there in that regard. But there was like I said, there was a decent amount of premium in that. Some pretty decent sized transactions, but they did move from a low about 90 up to about 115. So the IV on those yesterday about 83%. $30 calls for May 16th, about 11% out of the money. So did see some of those puts pop up for this week, 25.50s. It was towards the end of the day. Let's take a look at that here. About 330,000 in premium. Saw some volume, a little bit of gain in open interest, some more selling. These traders might feel GameStop will close above 25.50 by Friday, so they felt safe to sell a secured put. Those are running about 60, fell down to about 30, so not a bad move there in that regard. If you were selling puts yesterday, if you sold them here, bought them back, whichever way you did it, not a bad opportunity in that regard. So yeah, I'll let you take a look at the other ones there that are here on the page, and we'll take a look at where the actual money was spent in regard to that premium. We've already highlighted a few of them, but we'll just put it all on the same table here for you, so you're able to see that. The 25 puts did see some premium, but I believe that was a cross trade. These were $25 puts for July 18th. I did see those on whales, but I believe that was a cross trade. 3,800 volume. Let me take a look at that here. Yeah, because it came through no side, so let's see here. $25 put, out of the money, just slightly out of the money. We can take a look at trade to open. So buy to open, sold to open, but it was a cross trade here. And a cross trade occurs when a broker executes matched buy and sell orders for the same security, but across different client accounts and reports them on exchange. So it could have been a combination of these 25 puts from multiple people, and then boom, they were just all reported, sent through on this one thing. So typically when I sort flow, I'll even block out cross trades because a lot of that's just noise, but there was premium attached to it. And then we've been seeing these $10 in the money calls, and I've talked about this all the last couple of weeks, actually just highlighted it. So I won't spend too much time. Think of it more as just deep in the money calls. So it could be an opportunity to Somebody may want their stock assigned and they're looking to leave. Uh, yeah, somebody could be, selling them to be assigned. Somebody could be buying them as well. So a lot of different scenarios. You could be using, for example, if you're a short seller, you could be using a deep in the money call to control the stock price you're getting filled back at with getting the premium up front. So kind of less capital outlay. So like synthetic long, synthetic short type thing. We've seen that on the $10 call. And how that works is, for example, let's say the cost is 17.18. If you add that to the $10 strike is 27.18, which is just a little bit above the current market price. So the options are always priced like that in case you didn't know that. So if you think in terms of like arbitrage or depending on the price, like for example, if you sold this at 17, essentially has a value of roughly like $27 a share, whereas the stock, it fell down to 25 and some change yesterday. You're kind of up in that regard, if that makes sense. So it's just another way for arbitrage or short selling to cover multiple scenarios where that could be involved. But here was your top premiums. Here are your expiries. Here are your strikes. So take a look at those. Saw some more of those 30s for January, 40s for January. A little bit that's a little bit more at the bid. So selling 30s for July. Let's take a look at those as well. There's about 500,000 in premium on $30 calls for July 18th, and surprisingly about 1,000 in new open interest. So that grew today. More ask than bid, which would assume maybe these traders bought to open those and added to a position and or started a new position. Kind of buying them when they were down here, the lowest they've kind of been in the last week. So some these traders may think there's more continued upside for GameStop into July with the $30 calls. IV at 90% could be a volatility play as well. A little bit of multi-leg, so I'm sure there's some multi-trades attached to that. We won't spend a whole lot of time. If you've got unusual whales, you can drill into that for yourself. And then just the highest volume, like the 26s and 27s for this week's short-dated calls. We'll take a look at those. Also, 500,000 yesterday. OI did increase a little bit. Again, some buyers and sellers. A little bit more buying than selling possibly yesterday. And those did move from 70 up to about 115, so not too bad on the 26s. And those are in the money. And the 27s are right at the money. About 500,000 premium. We talked about this already. About less than 25% increase in open interest. But still a little bit noticeable increase there. A little bit of movement. So we'll just have to see how it plays out for the rest of the week in regard, just to the option flow, to the stock itself, any type of news, any type of headline or anything. I know we are approaching the time to get, let's pull it up here. We'll be approaching the time here soon for the proxies for a lot of companies for their annual report, any proposals or anything. So we'll be looking for that on GameStop. No new news in that regard, no filings or anything, no new ownership disclosures. So when we go back to the chart, like I said, keep in mind with your levels on the left corner of your screen, there's your moving averages. If the stock wants to decide to retrace, look at previous price points, previous volume as well. So yeah, we'll just continue to watch the flow. That's what we do. I like the stock though. I think yesterday a nice, all things considered, it sold off. Bulls jumped in, at a 9-day EMA and jumped on support. And yeah, I think that was a good in that regard. Zooming back, if we go back to last year, this time last year, right here, the high was 12.19. The stock's $27 right now. Yeah, I like it in that regard. That's not bad. A lot of consolidation up and down, some volatility, but still strong, stronger than it was a year ago, especially with the $6 billion in cash. But market is open. I want you to get busy with watch the video, watch your trades. Stock at 27. I'll continue to watch that option flow. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please just reply, share it with somebody. Reply down below, the accountant too. It's my son's birthday Thursday, so we're all going to see that as a family opening night on the IMAX. Cannot wait at AMC, of course. And yeah, so I'm very excited about that. And the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order is on Thursday as well, so that's very exciting. But yes, Reply down below, the accountant 2 or Nintendo Switch 2, and I'll know you watched today's video all the way through. Hope you have a fabulous Tuesday. Be careful out there and have a great day.